Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nifty Nuggets Drive-Thru. Please make sure you subscribe to our channel and like this video. If you want to find more information about us, you can follow us on Twitter @NuggetsNifty. And you can also download this episode on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We hope you enjoy the AMA.
Welcome everyone to this Nuggets AMA featuring BF Party and Nano Bushido from BF Party. What we like to do is start off with the people introducing themselves, telling themselves, giving us a bit of background about themselves. So if you could, before we talk about the projects, just tell us a bit about yourself. That would be great.
Sounds good, man. I'm known as Nano Bushido, and I'm one of the co-founders of Nanoverse HQ. So previously it was NanoPass, but then we kind of rebranded because we wanted to. And my background before Web3 was pretty much I'm like an ex-banker. I've worked on startup projects before, so I think it was 2 or 3 startups. So after that, I was like, okay, these startups, they're fun. You learn a lot because you're less of a cog in a big machine and more of like, generalist. When you're working on startups, you're put where work needs to be done, right? So you learn like a ton of things when you're working on a small team, but then like the money is not quite there. So I kind of left that job for like a big bank, and I worked there for like 2 years or 2.5. I don't quite remember. And then NFTs started popping off, and I've known Ray previously for like 10 plus years, and he was like, let's do a project, and the rest is kind of history.
Okay, great. So you were working with Nanoverse before, and so what's the relationship then between BF Party and Nanoverse?
Pretty much all the founders are friends, right? And that would be it. To the extent of what we're trying to do is, I think there's a very big opportunity in terms of intellectual property for Web3, especially now you see a lot of Web2 companies are kind of looking towards Web3 like we expected, because the technology is really new and the market's really fresh, right? So I think what a lot of things would happen down the line is, which has already happened, is that these Web2 companies might not necessarily like make their own project, right? What they would be looking to do is acquire like really solid IPs. So kind of if you're able to build out characters and a story that is good, I think there's a real chance of a Web2 social media company or like DC Comics or like Marvel or like Netflix picking up your IP and doing some sort of collab there. So that's kind of always been like the angle of Nanoverse when we create these characters, right? We want them to not just look good. We also want them to kind of vibe with the community and kind of build personalities as well as a story. And that's what I would say would be the extent of the relationship between all the Nano projects.
You're having obviously the experience from Nanoverse and putting it in, shall we say, a package that could well be appealing to Web2 brands.
That's always been the angle, because I feel like NFTs are really niche, like very few people I feel in your life would know about NFTs, right? Like, though the market is very big and the money is there, the audience isn't quite necessarily like, the user base per se might not be there. So I feel like there's a really big chance for you to build something that can bridge the gap, right? So yeah.
Okay, you're still a bit quiet actually. If you could, I don't know what it is. The mic is maybe a bit far away.
It's pretty much right in my mouth.
Okay.
I'll speak louder. Does this help a bit more?
Yeah, it's a bit better. I don't know whether it's just me or whether it's
no, it's probably my mic. It is quite an old mic. I haven't really updated it. But let me know if I'm still soft. I'll just try kind of shout. in a sense.
Okay, so you're coming out with this new collection, BF Party. Could you tell us more about the art in the collection? Maybe we'll start there.
Okay. The art in the collection is stylized really heavily off. I'm not sure if a lot of people here are big gamers, but it's stylized really heavily off Nixon gaming. So it's really Asian in a sense. It's got that Dragon's Nest Maple Story feel to it. I'll see if I can drop some images, but let me.
That would be great.
Can I just drop that in the BF Party AMA?
Exactly, that's what it's there for.
Yep, sweet. Give me 1 second. Let me pull some images. Give it a second. These files are decently sized. I've uploaded 4, so that's pretty much what in a sense what you'll be minting is these characters, and they come with like traits, which is pretty much the cosmetics that you would be earning when you play the game.
And I see they're animated.
Yeah.
Nice.
We have a game demo on our website. So the game demo is more to illustrate the capability of the development team as well as like the capabilities of the art team, you know, because I feel like most projects, they don't quite understand how complex game ready models are, right? Like in order for it to look good and function, and as well as for it to work as cosmetics, you know, because when you're dealing with NFTs, you really have like 200-300 traits, right? And with 200-300 traits, you have like 6,000 to 8,000 combinations. You really need like a really good 3D team in order for all those cosmetics to be able to be interchangeable, right? Because that's what essentially NFTs are built. Like your traits should be interchangeable, you know. So in order for that to work in a game ready and 3D sense, it's actually quite an endeavor. It's like where most of the money and time will be spent on. So I feel like when a lot of projects, when they do game projects, right, if they do approach it in the 3D sense, it's a lot of teams I see, they fail at that, right? Like
Yes.
they scale down the
Agree.
3D to an extent where the cosmetics no longer look nice, right? And it's like if the cosmetics no longer look nice, then what essentially are the players going to be earning? You know, if these cosmetics aren't going to be bought and sold because the look isn't there, you know.
Yeah, it's quite often you'll find that they'll do the 3D sneak peeks looking quite good because they're not actually generated, they've been manipulated. And once they have to generate 10,000 of them, sometimes they look a bit messy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree there. I feel like I'm sure probably like Pixelmon did that. Like they created like a vacuum where it was heavily edited. So like the models weren't necessarily game ready, but it was like heavily edited in their trailers.
Pixelmon's the extreme case, but it happens with many projects or quite a few projects, I think. So are they all animated? Are they all moving the NFTs?
I'm not sure if I would upload the NFTs themselves on Opensea. When you look at them, like the thumbnail, they might not necessarily be moving because I'm not sure if I would want them to kind of have the files be that big. I think it would just be 2D. It would just be like a 2D render of the 3D models, but they are playable in the game. Like if you mint any one of these characters, they would be. That's what your in-game model would look like.
Okay, so when you're running around, you see actually running around your NFT that you have in your wallet, and there's a direct relationship between the two.
Yeah, it is because we already have the files, right? So it's like if we can generate them on the NFT, then we can also generate them in the game, right?
So that's great because that's another thing that I've seen. Have projects with NFTs, and then they say, "Oh, we've got games and everything," but then you're not necessarily playing with your character in the games, which is a bit of a disappointment. It might as well be any other game,
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. But the angle of BFP has always been that you'll be earning these cosmetics. So the 3D is the 3D and art is very important to this project, right? Other projects might have like a more in-depth gameplay, but for us, it's more of like the art is equally as important as the gameplay, right? Like definitely like most of the time and effort would be spent on the art.
Where did you find your artist?
I met them. Yeah. My artists, four of them are part of the founding team. So I met them through a mutual friend that I knew since high school. Because I'm from New Zealand and our art here is actually quite good for New Zealand. Because Lord of the Rings was filmed here, and after that, the director Peter Jackson, he founded this studio specially for movies called Weta Workshops. So we actually have a lot of like it's not just 3D artists, right? It's like prop makers, like real life simulation. Like we actually have a really good studio industry within New Zealand, right? Like Weta Workshop is like worldwide famous, right? So I had a friend that worked there, and he worked there for a few years, and then he went to USA. His profile's on the website. He's called Vellum, and I knew one of his friends since high school, and he knew I was trying to build a game, and he's like, "Oh, I know this guy called Vellum, and he's worked in like the industry for like 8+ years. He's like a senior artist at like whatever studio." And then he put me in touch with him, and through him, I met the other three. So if you like movies, right? If you've seen the new Star Wars series, or if you've seen Marvel, or if you've seen what's the other one? Oh, the upcoming Avatar 2, right? Like they've worked on like blockbuster Hollywood type movies, so something like this is quite easy for them.
Okay, that's great. So the art is obviously very strong. Can you tell me more about the collection size?
Currently the collection size would be around 6K, but I kind of want to push it a bit more towards 7 and 8,000. But that depends on how much time we have, right? Because I don't want to kind of dilute my collection. Like if I can't get new traits in, then I'll probably just stick with 6,000.
Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like you're a good few weeks away from minting. Do you have a rough mint date in mind?
Ideally late May, but that might be pushed back. Ideally late May, but I still have a few designs that I want to get done. So
Okay.
I have the 2D images ready, but it's just waiting on the 3D side. I'm having some problem with certain 3D assets because one of my artists caught COVID, so his pipeline's completely fucked. I was meant to get like 10 more models, so that would be around 50 more traits, but that might not be possible because she is quite sick currently, and she's running into some housing issues as well. Because it's hard apparently to find a place to stay when you have COVID.
Oh, yeah, it's tough. So, and do you have any idea about the price for the mint, or is that still?
The price for the mint would be between 0.3 to 0.4, but that depends on the Ethereum price. But it should be around that mark.
3 to 0.4. Okay. That's good. And I think that at this point, maybe you could tell us more about the utility of the NFT within the game and how that works.
Yeah. So essentially, I think I would need to talk about the game first before I talk about what the NFT does.
Okay.
The game essentially functions really purely off chain. So like you won't be needing to pay, or like you don't need to pay to play this game. It functions entirely off chain. because the idea is that you build something where the gameplay loop and the gameplay is fun enough to keep people coming back. And the idea is that when people play this game, right, they might not even realize it's a crypto or blockchain game. So I really want to not just target the Web3 audience with this game. I want this to be like a bridge for gaming for between Web2 and Web3. So how the P2E functions, right? What the NFT actually does is when you go on the website or if you log on through the client, right, and you have logged on through MetaMask, then the game essentially can read that. And then once it reads that you have our NFT, then that unlocks the play and earn function. So how that functions is, for example, like if you played any games, um, essentially they run off skins. So BF Party would essentially, what you would be earning when you have the NFT is you'd be earning skins through the game that then you can sell on the Ethereum blockchain. So this is like pretty much all layer one on the blockchain side.
Okay. And what is the game actually? What is it similar to? If you could describe the how it works.
Yep. I would say the vibe, like the idea is that it's very close to Mario Kart, right? So it's like if you've played Mario Kart before, it's a very straightforward and simple game that has a combination of PvP and PvE elements, but it's not in depth to the point where you need like a manual guide or you need assistance to help you learn the game, right? Like you play Mario Kart, you log on, you instantly know like you know what you need to do in order to like win or play the game, right? Like you play one or two games and you're pretty much there for Mario Kart. So that's the idea of BF Party. We want it to be like as simple and as accessible as Mario Kart, but we also want it to be kind of fun, right? Like the fun aspect is like the most important aspect. So in terms of the gameplay itself, it's more similar to the lines of, I'm not sure if people here played Rumble Party before, so that might not be a good example. So like the closest thing I would say would be like Four Guys slash Super Smash Brothers. So it's like arena that you're trying to survive on. And there would be items in the game, much like Super Smash Brothers, and you're kind of competing against each other in a 50 to 60 player vacuum, kind of like Fall Guys, where you're trying to be like the last few people alive to win.
Okay, so that's multiplayer, 50 to 60 people. That's quite a lot. That's very cool.
Yeah. Because I do want this to kind of replace a lot of community building activities that we have in this space. Because there's really no game that allows for easy access of whitelists, right? So like if you run like crab games or marbles, like whitelisting through that is like a total fucking nightmare.
I mean, we within the Nuggets we use quite a few different games just to help just have fun together, and it then builds community automatically. You know. So when will the game be ready?
So if I mint late May, right? So let's say I mint on the 25th or 29th of May. I think the multi-version integration for the game would take like 2 or 3 months. So you're looking at the horizon of like late May mint, and the game would be ready by late July or early August.
Okay. And you mentioned play to earn. How would that work with the tokenomics?
There won't be any tokenomics. There won't be any staking. There won't be any tokenomics. The entire play and earn function would be based off the Ethereum blockchain. So when you earn these NFTs or when you're minting these NFTs, you would be using straight up Ethereum.
Okay, but I assume it's along the model of if you win, then you win Ethereum. Be the case?
No. How it actually works, the technicality behind it is when you log on with the NFT, we already know your Ethereum address, right? So essentially what we can do is we can upload that address to the contract, and essentially when you win, you're whitelisted for the cosmetics. So you're able to mint the cosmetics for free. But you would obviously pay the gas fee on the Ethereum blockchain side.
Okay, so that's the cosmetics for your character, right?
Yeah, essentially. So if you go back to the images I dropped, right, there's the category of the hair and the hat, and then the eyes, and then the upper jacket, lower pants, and shoes, and you'd be earning essentially the traits that come on NFTs.
Okay, you earn the traits. Okay, and can you then sell these traits to others?
Yeah, because it's on the Ethereum blockchain, right? You would be able to just
Okay.
access Opensea, and well, OpenSea is the biggest. I don't see why you would sell it on any other platform. So you would just be able to list and sell it on OpenSea. The idea behind why I didn't want to do tokenomics or staking is if you do tokenomics or staking, it's very hard to bridge that gap between Web 2 and Web 3. Like it's already hard enough to get a normal Web 2 person to open up a MetaMask wallet. Then you're telling them to go learn like how to swap tokens on and all that. I kind of want to dumb it down as much as possible.
Okay, so I can play the game. I win cosmetics, which I can either use or keep and put on the secondary market at a later stage. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. These cosmetics, are they purely cosmetic, or do they have functionality within the game?
No. The blockchain side won't interact with the gameplay at all. So this is purely cosmetics.
Okay.
I
Well,
don't
that's
want to build like a pay to win game where like kind of whales can just dominate the market, because if I do that, I don't think the game would grow as large.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with letting people outside of the NFT space also play the game, and hopefully it'll bring more people into the Web3 space because they want to also win these cosmetics, right?
I imagine it going down something like this, right? If you have friends that you enjoy playing games with, right, and let's say you guys are playing a game and you want to try something new, you can just throw them a link to the website and then they could be able to play. They don't need the NFT to play. They kind of just click the link, log on as a guest, and then they can play BF Party with you. That's the idea. So it's very easy for them to kind of enter the door. So once they're through that door and they're playing BF Party with you, ideally that the game is fun enough that they're willing to spend 1 or 2 hours every day just to play with their friends. Because games like Fall Guys and Mario Kart, they're not like single player games where you would play by yourself, right? You predominantly play these games with your friends or your community. So ideally is you play these games and you find it fun and you're always playing together, right? And that's when people are willing to open up their wallets essentially to buy cosmetics, right? It follows that very Web2 free to play model where you create a game, right, that has an addicting play loop, and then you give it to people free of charge. You make it very easy to come through the door, and once they try out the game, it's the people that enjoy it and stay that will be spending the money on the game. So
Okay.
it's kind of like um, League of Legends, Fortnite, Apex Legends. So pretty much every free-to-play game would follow this type of model.
I mean, the most important thing is that the game is enjoyable, and yeah.
Yeah. I feel like currently I don't want to shit on or like talk bad about other projects, but I feel like nearly every P2E game within the NFT market, they're not games, right? They're just a shell of a game But at its core, it's like DeFi protocols. It's just all staking and tokenomics. There's no real gameplay there.
Yep, that's quite often the case. That's correct. So you were saying possibly end of May for the mint, and then the actual game coming a couple of months later. Now, what are you going to do within those 2 months to actually keep the community going and interested?
I think that's a problem that I don't have. Like, I don't think anyone in the market really has a solution when they're at the building stage, right? Like, like that gap between mint and the final product. That's always been like, there are small things that you can do, but there's not enough things that I feel that are currently in the market that you can do to kind of retain people's attention span, right? Because most projects after mint, the community looks for like the next projects that they want to get into. So the best thing I can do is have like a realistic timeline, right? And pre-prepare so I can launch as soon as possible. And if you're looking at like a 2 to 3 month launch time for the game, I think that's already quite realistic, and it's already quite fast as opposed to a lot of other projects. So and obviously, like, there would be like whitelist raffles, right? Because like if people have minted your NFT, then there would be an alpha channel for that, where, well, pretty much every project is doing that, where like they go out, they collab with other projects, they get whitelist, and then that would be pretty much it. I don't see like a big thing that I can do here that would be very different from other projects.
Okay, wait a second. I'm just logging into the website to read these questions. It just kicked me out. Right. Unfortunate. I'm back in now. I'm going to go through a few of the questions from the audience. Should be here at the bottom. So Bergson says, I tried your game. It's really cool. So that's good feedback.
Thanks,
And
man.
when's the new game mode? Oh, I guess you already answered that. That's coming in a few
I can
months.
touch upon the roadmap a bit more if the community wants. So the idea is July, August, I have the Battle Royale game come out, right? But as with most games, you need to kind of fine tune it and balance it a little bit, because the idea is the game is fun, like, just because a game functions doesn't mean the game is fun. So I would have 1 or 2 months where I would collect feedback from the community in Web3, and not just Web3. I would have like Web2 people play it as well, and I would get feedback from those guys as well. So come December or November, I would do a balance patch, right? And kind of balance out the game. And after that is done, I would look towards building additional games. And as I said, most of the games that I'm trying to build will be very similar to Mario Kart, where I keep the design very simple, right? Because it doesn't need to be overly complex for it to be fun. And if I keep it simple, that means I can churn out games at a very alarming rate. I'm not trying to build like World of Warcraft or like Dark Souls or Elden Ring. These games essentially are games where one game would last 10 or 15 minutes, Like, there's not a very in-depth system here. So I would essentially be able to kind of like throughout the years, let's say for example 2023, right? I would be able to churn out like 4 to 5 different game modes within that time. And like the community can pick those games. Like if they're like, oh, we want a racing type game, I can just go out and build it. Like they're not hard to build. Like the hard thing about this type of project is the art. But once I've met, most of the art will be ready. Like the cosmetics and the models, that's like the hard part about this project. The coding side is actually quite simple.
I assume you're using an engine. Which engine would you be using for the games?
Unity.
Unity. Okay. And so the avatars will also be in Unity. So you'll have Unity avatars.
Yep. But the 3D files, they can be used on not just Unity. You can use them in Unreal Engine as well. But the reason I didn't go with Unreal Engine, even though I think personally Unreal is far superior to Unity, there are a lot more really good Unity coders than there are Unreal Engine developers.
Okay. So could you tell me a bit about your development team for the games?
Development team on the coding side, I have one blockchain dev, and then I have one website guy that does both front end and back end. He's kind of a generalist. So he can pretty much do anything. It just depends on what you want to direct him to. And as for the gaming side, I'm partnered up with, well, I have a contract with a studio based in Poland. They're called the Knights of Unity. And they made like a ton of games before. And one of their more popular games was Gwent. That's the card game for The Witcher. I'm not sure if people know it.
Okay, but they've got a track record, which is always good, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't have went with them if they didn't have one, because they were cheaper options when I was looking for development studios. But ultimately, I felt like the best thing was, even though you pay a higher price, the quality is really important. I don't want to spend 3 to 4 months developing something and it's just being total shit. Like, time is money.
They develop the game on your website?
Yeah.
Okay. So a few more questions from the audience here. Will you add more mini games in the future? Yes, I think you answered that.
Yeah. I can re-answer it if they join late. Who asked that?
Ella, I think that question came up earlier. I think well, you just answered it now. You will be.
Yeah, I will be. I will be.
As I understand it, you'll be also allowing the holders to dictate the direction the games might go.
Yep,
Correct?
exactly. That's the case for every game, right? The community kind of directs the game's direction, because you need community feedback. If you're not listening to community feedback, then like the game isn't going to be fun, right? Because like the people that are playing your game, they're your fans. If they don't like a certain aspect of the game, you as the game leader, you need to kind of like adjust and change that to what suits it. So there will be like quarterly updates to games where I kind of balance it more and more, because that's how you really create something great. From the get-go, the game might not be the best of the best, but with enough time and feedback, I think the capability of the team is definitely there too. Did ETC?
I believe you just got rugged.
Okay.
I believe you just went down, yeah.
Um,
I guess we just play elevator music.
I can
Yeah.
answer some questions, because if
Sorry, I'm back. I don't know what
there he
happened
is.
okay.
I'll go back down. See you later.
So you were just asking about, you were just explaining about the different games that you're going to be having in the future, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, the community would dictate the direction of the games.
Okay. The next question from Benny Hill. Were arcade game systems like Neo Geo, was that part of your inspiration?
I don't. I don't quite know what Neo Geo is.
Okay.
So, but the inspiration of the games is pretty much, I base it off like a lot of like old school era. Like if you grew up in the 90s, right, you've definitely played some of Nixon's games. So kind of though they had like really good multiplayer games that were just like very fast and simple. So like Crazy Arcade, Kart Rider, or like Gundam SSD. Like those were like very simple, straightforward games. that were like free to play, but essentially these games were like so popular between friends that they actually made like hella money just off that. Like their microtransactions were like the best. They were one of like Nixon was one of like the highest earning companies, and they were in direct competition with like big studios like Blizzard, and they out earned them by like quite a decent margin.
Okay. The next question is from the Lazy King. Does the rarity of the character affect the in-game currency, or in any
No.
way does it affect
No.
the game?
There would be no relationship between cosmetics and gameplay.
Yeah.
This is not like a pay-to-win game.
Okay. And Benny Hill asks, are all playable characters going to be humans?
Yeah. If you look at what you will be minting, those are pretty much your characters.
Okay. Cool. Right. Those were the questions from the website that have come through the new system. I'm just going to check the pin messages in the chat here. What does BF stand for?
BF is kind of like play on words for. It's kind of like a tribute to League of Legends and Doom. So it stands for big frickin' or big fucking.
All right. Oh, as in BFG.
Yeah, the BF gun and the BF sword.
Okay. That makes sense. Question from JP Larson. What's the best way to survive more than a minute? I've tried running around constantly in small steps.
The simplest way would be get good, but if you're looking for actual advice, it's actually, I would say, it's the way you use your lives, right? Because sometimes you get hit, right? But then people try to avoid too many things. It's okay to be hit. You have 5 lives to kind of adjust your style, right? So what you want to do is you need to make sure that if you're hit, you're not hit consecutively. You know, a lot of times people try to dodge everything and they put themselves into a really bad position where they kind of die instantly. You know, sometimes it's okay to just take that one hit and go somewhere safe. You know, kind of spend that one life as like a getaway ticket. You know, and reposition yourself on the map.
Okay. Right. JP Larson, there are your tips. Tell us if you can last any longer then. Another question from JP Larson. What advantages does a holder have over a random player?
You get to flex on them pretty much. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. And the next question from JP Larson. Any advantages to nanopass holders apart from the 100 slots you could buy with frags? Maybe more slots?
There will be more slots, and those ones will be uploaded directly to the contract, and they would be free mints. Like you just pay the gas for it.
Ah, okay. So it's very much should we say a second generation collection of nanopass or nanoverse in that respect?
I guess so, but I wouldn't say necessarily it's like second generation, because like none of the funds used to build Pixin or BF Party came from Nano, right? Like we don't cross contaminate the development funds.
Okay, yeah. Will the money go straight back into the development costs?
Yes. Yes. We would pay the workers and the founders, but I would imagine more than 50% would go back into development, because after the mint, I want to have enough to build like for 3 years. Like the budget is for like ideally if Ethereum doesn't tank, we can build this thing for 3 years. And the idea is that by that 3 years, we would have a big enough game that we can actually compete really heavily with Web2 companies.
Okay, that's cool. Ivan asked, do you have any long-term partnerships, or can't you leak that yet?
Long-term partnerships with Are you talking about Web2 companies, I assume?
Or Web3 part, Web2, Web3?
No, but what I can do is kind of like position myself so those doors can remain open. We've been approached by a company for Web2, but I don't feel like we would have gotten really anything out of that partnership, so I kind of turned them down.
Okay.
Yeah, like if you're a fashion brand and you're approaching me and I don't get to use your designers, then what the fuck? Why do I need you?
Yeah. So, like, how would you approach like a community like Nifty Nuggets? Obviously, we have plenty of game players in here. As you said, it's always good to have different games to build community. So, how would that look for, someone like Nifty Nuggets? Could we have Nuggets avatars in the game, or how would that work?
I mean, collaboration in terms of cosmetics, that's always like very easy and open to do, right? Like, but anything deeper than that, what I can essentially do with this game is because it's very synced to the blockchain side, right? Essentially, I can give you guys your own servers, give you guys your own leaderboards, right? And if you want to build your own like let's say for example, Nifty Nuggets has a development fund of like $200 to $300,000, you know, and you guys want to kind of create your own nifty avatars within the game, and then create your own cosmetics. That would also like I would be open to those talks, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I essentially can give any project their own servers and their own leaderboards, right? And I can just sell them a portion of this game for a fee.
Well, I think we'll definitely discuss that with you offline. Now, you've got about a month to mint date. How are you going to, should we say, increase the hype for in the next few weeks to ensure that you get a good mint?
Mm, it would just be how most people do it, right? Like, generally how you create hype is ideally the art is there, and you would do collabs with like essentially like big names within the space, right? Like Ryan D or like Bento Boy, like, and like obviously I'm in touch with the Phantoms as well. So once PXN finishes minting, you can just run like just giveaway posts. So most of the marketing essentially would be on the Twitter side. But after mint, what I can do is I can actually get streamers on Twitch to play this game, because this game doesn't function on a DeFi protocol basis. There's no staking or tokenomics. Most people that watch this game won't even know it's a crypto game.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Are you going to leverage the NanoPass connection?
I felt
For
like I've
marketing?
already kind of leveraged that, right? Because
Okay.
I feel like the moment I created this project, there was already interest purely because I'm one of the founders for Nano. People wanted in.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. So it's once you've minted, the game's out and everything. How do you see the project looking, say, should we say, in a year's time, 2 years' time down the road? What's your long-term plan?
Fuck. Ideally, I have like 3 to 4 million players. I have like 5 games under my belt by 2 years, right?
Years. Okay. I mean, that's always good to hear something like that, because sometimes I have the feeling that some projects are not even looking a year ahead.
If you're talking about most DeFi P2E games, they're not even looking past mint. You know, they mint, they create the project, they don't update it. They just go and take the money and then they build something else,
Yep,
right?
this is
Yeah.
true.
But I'm not gonna have staking and tokenomics. Like the core the core function of this game is gameplay. You know, I'm trying to make this game like a fun game that people can enjoy, regardless if there's a financial incentive or not, right? Because if you're a game, you need to be fun, right? But a lot of these P2E games, they're just not fun.
Yep, this is true. Another question. How do you feel about minting in the market at the moment? It's not easy, is it?
Fuck, that's a hard question. I don't think I'm qualified to answer that, because even though I have done a project before, I don't necessarily feel I have like the best grasp on the market situation. Like if things are good, if things are bad, you know. I know that there's a lot of FUD going on due to like Yuga Labs, but the thing is, from a analyst's perspective, because I used to be an ex-banker, that was actually a good thing, because I don't really have proof for this, but I feel like Yuga Labs pumped their own project. So they actually got their VC hedge funds to kind of pour Ethereum in and hold the price of these projects. Because it's a 100K collection, dude. There's 100,000 of these fuckers. You know, so I feel like they did kind of pour new money into the ecosystem, even though like a lot of people failed their mint. I feel like they've poured way more money just holding their floor, because essentially your brand of Yuga Labs is tied to the floor price, right? Like people think these projects are hype and they think these projects are cool purely based off the floor price, you know. So when they spend money pumping the floor price, it's essentially a marketing tool, you know. So I would say like they spent like 50 to 100 million as a marketing budget, and it might sound like a lot, but for hedge funds, that's fuck all money.
Yep. I mean, Yuga Labs, they had the connections and the name and the existing blue chips. So I mean, that's a huge help.
If you bought Bored Apes for $1 billion, you know, 100 million on marketing is fuck all money.
Yep. Right. Another question here from Proc. Is it going to be mobile friendly, the game?
Mobile is kind of tricky because it's arena-based game, right? And mobiles, the screen is kind of small. For tablets, definitely a yes. But for mobile games, I don't want to push a mobile game too fast, because the way mobile games are structured is just because the game works doesn't equate to the game being fun to play, you know? Like, making it mobile friendly, that's easy to do, but I need to make it in a way where it's fun, because the worst thing that can happen is I make it, I put it on the Apple App Store, people download it, and it plays well, right? It functions well, it functions as intended, right? But it's not fun on the user experience side, right? Like you don't have fun playing it on mobile. And what tends to happen is when you download a game on mobile and you play it and it's not fun, you delete that game instantly off your phone and you never look back, right? So that's essentially a customer walking into your door, looking at your product, and then walking back out that door. It's very hard at that point to get the same customer to come back through the door, you know? So if I do push the mobile, it needs to be a version that is fun on the mobile and not necessarily just having it function and work.
I think that's a fair point. Yeah, I agree. So I think we've gone through the project pretty well and covered most of the bases, and certainly you've answered all the questions that have come through so far. Do you have anything additional that you want to add that we maybe missed out?
I think you guys asked most of the most important questions. I don't think there are any more red flag questions. I don't think.
Well, we've got one question coming up here. Is do we have any Discord invites?
I can drop Discord links in a channel, or I can drop it to the collab guys in my group chat, and then they can kind of share it, because I'm not quite sure where, if I do drop links, where I would drop it. Not sure about the culture here. What's okay
Well,
and
you
what's okay.
can, if you there's 59 people listening, so maybe if you can drop an invite link for,
Oh yeah, I can definitely
60
do that.
or 70, something in there.
Let me generate some links. Give me 1 minute.
Now we've got the audience all excited about the project, then now's the time to strike, right?
Bushi, I can generate them for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just generating some right now for the people that are here, and then
Where should I drop them again?
In BF Party AMA, it's
Okay. I'll drop them there.
just above the stage.
All right.
I assume you're going to be. There we go.
If you need more links, I've already put my mods that can generate links in the group chat for your collab guy. So when you do require links, you can just let us know, and we can kind of like drop you some from
Okay.
time to time. The reason the server is closed is not because we're trying to stop people coming in. It's more of like there are a lot of bots, and closing a Discord is like generally the easiest way to stop bots from flooding your server.
It's a good way to keep the server community clean, shall we say?
Yeah, like I ideally don't want too many bots in my server, so this is like the easiest way to prevent that.
So yeah, thank you, Nano Bushido, for that. And yeah, do you have any questions to the Nugs?
No, I don't think I do.
You're familiar, I guess.
I mean, I
familiar
know a
with
little
us.
bit. I know you guys like our alpha group, right? And I think that would be. I mean, it's an alpha group. I'm not sure what makes you guys special. Well, I guess like
Well,
it's a more personal
I
question.
always hear, "Oh, we're an alpha group," but yeah, that's a part of it, but it's a small part of it. I think that's definitely part of it. We're a community, and we're really focused on building a very strong community within Web3, and basically, being a big part of the Web3 space going forward. And we've used many community building techniques that even aren't used in other discords at the moment. So we're a pretty strong community.
I guess the founders of Nifty Nuggets are hard workers, I guess.
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, we have considering the size of we've got 1,700 people in the server. We have a huge staff, and building.
Yeah, it's actually a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie. Like maintaining and building a community is like a ton of work.
It is, yeah. So, yeah, thank you again. And our team will be in contact with you afterwards. And yeah, I think that's more or less the end of the AMA.
Okay, that was quite fast. Thank you guys for listening, I guess, to me rambling for an hour.
Oh, thank you for coming. And we wish you well for your mint, and we'll be observing it keenly, I think.
Thank you, man. I'll exit now. If you have any
guys.
questions, just let me know through your collab guy, and we can probably
Okay.
get it sorted. All right. Thanks, guys.
If you like this AMA, reminder to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get access to our future AMAs. You can also follow us on Twitter at Nuggets Nifty, and make sure to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We'll see you all next time.